Okay, I'm back. Hey, hey, 1, 2. I'm back. I'm back. Okay, bit of a false start there. Sorry. All right. Sorry. Sorry. I'm back. Ask me anything. Hey, 1, 2. 1, 2, 2. Hi, everybody. Hello. Welcome in. 12 million views in the last 28 days. Something's going on. Must be the news. Do I think Ruth Payne was CIA? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. She had known connections to the CIA. Think about all the evidence that came out of uh, Ruth Payne's house. Was Bush involved? No. Just my opinion. Is this muted? I don't know. Can you hear me? I don't think it's muted. It's lagging. Internet sucks today. Is this muted? I don't know. Can you hear me? Okay, after a bit of a false start, we are live again. I need a theme That's weird. That's weird because when I look at my live on this other phone, I hear it. It's lagging really badly. That's weird because when I look at my live on this other phone, I hear it. That's weird. It's lagging really badly. Okay, can you guys hear me or not? Hey, 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 1, 2. Okay. All right, good. Well, I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Okay, I want to talk about this thing that Elite Gods said a few comments back about how the White House said there is two shooters from what they have for evidence. Okay, um, okay, sorry. I need to clarify that. Uh, the White House has not said that. Congresswoman Luna from Florida said that, and she's been appointed the point person for the White House, and she's young, 35 years old maybe, and um, I mean it's fine. She wants to. What she said was that from everything she's seen, there were two shooters. And maybe I buy into that, maybe I don't. I think that there was more than one shooter. But her saying it in the context of a press conference doesn't make it so. What she did say was that she wanted to reopen the investigation. Now, I think that's a great idea, but I think there are a lot more people more qualified than her to offer judgment on any files that are released. So let's have a look at the 2,400 additional secret files that the FBI announced as a direct result of the executive order. Thousands and thousands of pages have already been released, so it is kind of big news for the FBI to come out and say, hey, we found 2,400 more documents that weren't previously associated with JFK. That's huge. And it is an indicator of only this, that perhaps, the FBI is going to be a lot more transparent, a lot more upfront, and a lot more willing to share documents from 63 years ago. That's the only thing that has happened really newsworthy so far. The secret files that were the secret files, back in December are still secret. We don't know what the plan says. Hello to Romania. Mihaly, welcome to international followers. I appreciate that. So, okay, I've explained it a few times. January 23rd, executive order. Release all the files. It's in the national interest. Excuse me. Come up with a plan. What the executive order said. Oh, thanks for the heart, me, Simi B. What the executive order said was come up with a plan in 15 days to release all the files. And so on February 7th, late in the afternoon, reported on only by one news outlet, ABC. The acting director of the Office of National Intelligence, presumably with also the acting FBI person, dropped a plan on the White House desk, but we don't know what the plan is. Okay, and then as a result of that, the FBI, reviewing the files to be released, says, oh, here's 2,400 more documents that weren't previously associated with the JFK case. 2,400. Okay, great. What's in those? Let's see them. So we haven't seen them yet. We have seen nothing yet that we didn't already see in December. Nothing has happened. No amount of people telling me that Trump has released all the files will make it so. Is his intent to release the files? Absolutely. I believe that. But nothing has happened so far, and there are plenty of loopholes in that executive order. For example, the CIA or the FBI, but especially the CIA, could simply say, these files aren't part of the JFK assassination, so you don't get to see them. And we'll have to, that would indicate that we'd have to trust their judgment, right? But at least the only significant thing that has happened so far is the FBI saying, hey, here's 2,400 more files, by the way. Been in this closet for 62 years. Sorry, but here they are. And we haven't seen what those say. So, but I have listed, if you're interested, if you're really sincerely interested in this case, I have listed the 12 most wanted missing files, and it's there. I have listed them in my pinned video, so I would recommend that you go look at that video instead of arguing about ballistics like we do every day on this channel. Go and tell me what your opinion is on the 12 missing files, the 12 files that we know exist but have never been unredacted. They are still redacted. Big portions blacked out. Why? So anyway, and honestly, okay, Joe says list them quick. All right, I got it bookmarked. Hang on, since you put me on the spot. Let's see, quick way to find that. I really ought to put them on my Substack. That's really what I ought to do. By the way, we are streaming live on YouTube, and I just recommend that you find me on the Tube of You as a backup to all of this. Doggone it. Why can I never find what I want immediately when I want it? Here we go. Okay. Got a pen and paper? Get a pen and paper. Write this down. Like if these 12 files aren't released, then they're still playing games. Okay. It'll be all smoke and mirrors. The things that we really need to see. Here's the list. All right, the George Joannides file. That's number one. What is it? the denied in full personnel file of a Miami-based undercover officer involved in the surveillance of Lee Harvey Oswald. Did the CIA, this is the question about file number 1, did the CIA launch an authorized operation targeting Oswald in January of 1963? That's the question to be answered. Okay, number 2 file. The Arthur Schlesinger memo, who he was a special assistant to JFK, and he wrote a 15 or 20-page memo arguing that the CIA should be visibly reorganized. And this file is fully redacted, secret, for 63 years. The question on that file is, what drove the mistrust between JFK and the CIA that lasted through Kennedy's presidency? Number 3, James Angleton's testimony. Heavily redacted 113-page transcript of an interview of the counterintelligence chief who monitored Oswald's private life and political activities for 4 years before JFK was killed. Question: did Angleton use foreign agents to surveil Oswald? Okay, we're reading through the top 12 most wanted files. Calvin, I don't really have a podcast per se. I just have a TubeU channel that I stream live here on TikTok and there, and I haven't done much with YouTube yet, but perhaps soon. Okay, number 4 of the 12 most wanted files. I hope you're writing this down, or you can just go look at my pinned videos. Number 4, the CIA Ops Project. A heavily redacted 77-page summary of CIA surveillance operations that later monitored Oswald during his visit to Mexico City shortly before the assassination. Question: how did the CIA surveil Oswald 6 weeks before November 22nd? That's number 4. Okay, number 5, 12 most wanted files. I'm going to get through these before I get back to comments. Okay. The Am World files. What the Am World files are: the operational and travel records for CIA officers Emilio Rodriguez, Anthony Sforza, and David Atlee Phillips. Now, you've heard that name before, right? Question: what did these 3 undercover operatives know about Oswald during the summer and fall of 1963? Number 6, the paramilitary name and phone list. Redacted roster of top-secret CIA paramilitary agents operating in the New Orleans area in the summer of 63. There was a lot of nonsense in secret activity in St. Louis in the summer of 63, and Oswald was there in the middle of it. Number 7, top 12 most wanted JFK files. The Miami JFK investigation. Situation reports, or SITREPs, submitted by CIA case officers in South Florida who were ordered to question their anti-Castro sources about possible Cuban involvement in JFK's assassination. Number 8, this is a big one for me. Number 8, we know these files exist. These are the top 12. We're on number 8. The William K. Harvey travel records. The missing travel records of the CIA assassination chief. There was one, and it was Bill Harvey. Did Kennedy Hayter Harvey pay a visit to Dallas in 1963 as recounted by a senior State Department official? Number 9. We're getting to the good ones now. I mean, they're all good. We're getting to some of the bigger ones. Number 9 of the top 12. The CIA file of Herminio Diaz Garcia. He was a known Cuban assassin, and his CIA file has been redacted for 63 years. Number 10, the original Orville Nix film, loaned to the FBI, duplicates made, ostensibly returned, not verifiably the original. What happened to it? And does the Orville Nix film show a person behind the picket fence on the grassy knoll? Morning to Hottie Hiker. Am I reading right or my glass? Okay, very good. Number 11. Coming down to the last couple, top 12 most secret JFK files. Number 11, the JFK Whistleblower Report. This is a 40 to 50 page report by the CIA Inspector General on the House Select Committee on Assassinations. Did the CIA officials show an intent to deceive the Congress, as a JFK whistleblower told JFK Facts in October 2024? When they held the House Select Committee on Assassinations, which is the hearing in Congress, by the way, that Congresswoman Luna could only be referring to, the CIA definitely hid things up. We know that George Joannides straight up lied to the House Select Committee on Assassinations. Okay, number 12, and this is the last one, the Carlos Marcello file. The FBI file on the New Orleans crime boss that was not shown to the House Select Committee on Assassinations. Question: what did the FBI learn about Marcello's possible involvement in JFK's assassination? Okay, that's the list. And I recommend that you also follow me on Substack, and you follow a Substack user called JFK Facts. This is where I get my, the best possible information. It is run by Jefferson Morley, who has been is probably the premier JFK researcher. Not necessarily pro-conspiracy or pro-Warren Commission, but simply a researcher of the facts and has knowledge of what these secret files contain, right? Like it is not a secret what the files are. It is just a secret what they say. This is not including the 2,400 additional FBI files that the FBI just announced that they suddenly discovered out of the blue. Let me adjust my camera just a little bit. Put me a little bit more in the center. Adjust. Okay, how's that? Great. Okay. All right, your comments, your questions. I cannot, in this context, put people up in the live box because I'm using OBS to stream, and it just doesn't work that way. I am simultaneously streaming on YouTube. I need to see if I can go live on Clapper with this. That would be interesting. That would take some investigation. Okay, my personal belief, I get asked all the time what I think. I do believe multiple shooters. I do believe shots from the Texas School Book Depository 6th floor window. I don't believe necessarily that it was Oswald. I have maintained that all along for the last 2 years that Oswald was a patsy, and that he was a fake defector to Russia. He had a backstory created. The CIA used him as an asset, and it is possible that he had foreknowledge of the plot and tried to stop it. But in any case, he goes to the movie theater. Instead of getting completely the heck out of town, he goes to a movie theater to wait to meet his cutout man. He tries to call his cutout man from jail on Saturday evening. Nothing about his behavior says, I'm guilty. Jack Ruby, he's a bagman already for the mafia and acting under orders. Spends all day Saturday, like the 20 phone calls he made before Sunday the 24th were all to Chicago, and the list of people on those calls, many organized crime connections. Jack Ruby shows palatable relief when he is told that Oswald didn't make it. Like, he calms down at that point, knowing that it seems to imply that Ruby felt like perhaps his life depended on silencing Oswald. Yeah, I hear you, Michael Tenhoff, but I think it's questionable whether Oswald killed J.D. Tippit. To be honest with you, we have unreliable witnesses and we have unreliable forensic ballistic methods. That's just me. I honestly don't think that there's anything in these files that are going to answer that question. We may never know that question, but the whole jacket thing, the whole thing about his jacket being found in a parking lot and all that is some nonsense right there that makes it questionable to be. Okay, was Ruby terminally ill at the time he shot Oswald? I don't know, but in a deleted scene of the movie JFK, if you've never had a chance to watch them, they're out there. Probably very searchable. Just search JFK 1991 Oliver Stone deleted scenes. There's a scene that we never saw even in the director's cut, and that was the scene of a thing that we know that happened, that Ruby was given injections of ostensibly flu inoculations when he swore he didn't have the flu. And then he sat in prison for another 3 years and just pretty much wasted away. So I'm not necessarily saying that Ruby was given, we know that one of the things that Oswald was working on for the CIA was biological warfare. I have some detractors who think that the thing that you do after you have unalived a police officer is, oh yeah, go to a movie at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. And then while you're there at the movie, buy popcorn. Skip through the door. Okay, don't pay the 75-cent admission fee, but do buy popcorn. And then go into a theater of 600 seats. I should put up the picture. Let me find it. Here's the movie theater. Okay, what you do after you have, for no apparent reason, performed a coup de grace on a neighborhood police officer, and we'll get to that. What do you do? Oh, okay. Well, walk suspiciously down to a theater, duck any police cars that you see in the area. Okay, that's acting a little guilty. And then sneak behind the ticket taker and through the theater door. And then with the $8 in your pocket buy popcorn and walk into this theater behind me. This theater with the balcony is like 600 seats. I'll just make it a little bigger. Maybe you can see that. You're going to walk in to this theater of 600 seats and sit down next to a young teenage kid who was in there skipping school or whatever. Could have sat anywhere, but sits down directly next to a dude. Okay, can we agree that that's weird? Is that the kind of thing that you do when you're acting guilty? And why do you have a random box top in your pocket? Unless that is a way to identify yourself to your cutout man. Okay, the kid doesn't say anything. And so he gets up and he moves seats and he finds another random empty seat right next to a lady who was pregnant. So that's weird. Also, random dude sitting next to a random pregnant lady, dark theater. Weird. And finally, he doesn't seem to be connecting with whoever he is trying to connect with. So he gets up and he moves to the back and he sits down in one of the rows in the back. Approximately here. Yeah, that's a picture of me sitting in not quite the row that Oswald was arrested in. Briggy, yeah, my own view of this live is lagging. And it's probably because I'm in a basement and I need to get a better internet connection. Sorry. Maybe what I should do is just abandon the studio and go live on the porch, but it's chilly outside. Okay. Anyway, I went to Dallas back in December and got an impromptu tour of the Texas Theater. I was extremely lucky thanks to a very kind podcast host who I had just met. His name is Matt, and he has a channel, and you can find it on my link tree. We just retraced the steps, partially on foot, partially in the car, and it was the middle of the afternoon on a Thursday, and we just knocked on the door and got super lucky that one of the owners was right there. And with a lot of luck and some fast talking, my tour guide explains to the owner of the Texas Theater, this is JFK 60 years later. He's got a big TikTok account, and all he talks is he's only in here for the afternoon. And is there any way we can just peek inside? And the theater has undergone renovations. The major style of it is still the same. They've added a full bar, and it really caters to. It's modernized in the sense of it's really a destination movie house, but in the spirit of old movie houses. But I could walk to the place on the floor, and you could see the remaining footprint. It's not there anymore, but I could walk and look down and see where the popcorn counter was that Oswald, who is hiding from the police, apparently, decided to buy popcorn and sit down and watch a movie in the middle of the afternoon called War is Hell. And then, weird that 25 police officers in cars roll up on this theater because supposedly this guy didn't pay for his movie ticket. Popcorn is a big clue. Oswald didn't shoot shit. Hollow Points, thanks. Appreciate the comment. Thanks for, share this live, please, and double tap the screen to send hearts and let people know we're in here. Elite Goods, a cutout man, is a person that a CIA or operative or covert operative, a spy, basically, has a cutout man who is a person who is detached from the current operation but knows both the agent and the agent's handler. So the cutout man has plausible deniability, no official knowledge of anything that Oswald may or may not be doing, but does know the powers that be above at a different level. And so the operative can go to the cutout man and say, hey, I need to see the big guy. And the cutout man, that's all they need to know. And then they make the connection. It's just a way to keep some removability between the operative and the big guy, the handler, if you will. So Oswald's got this random box top in his pocket, and people want to talk about ballistics, but they don't want to talk about the random box top in his pocket. They don't want to talk about the $2 bills that were ripped in half, 2 half-dollar bills written down. This is in the FBI notes. You can go and read it for yourself. Not 2 halves of a single dollar bill, 1 half of $1 bill, another half of another dollar bill with different serial numbers. Why? Why keep such a thing? What happened? Oops, I ripped a dollar bill and threw half of it away. Oops, I ripped another dollar bill and threw half. Why do 2 half-dollar bills exist in Oswald's possession? Well, it's certainly not a stretch of the imagination to think that if you wanted to verify your actual identity to someone who you were supposed to meet, a serial number on a dollar bill would be an easy way to do it. And we've played that game before. All of us at some point or another have played the serial number game with dollar bills. So there's plenty to look at with Oswald's behavior. I'm going to quit GarageBand here. All right, how's everybody doing? What time is it? 1 o'clock on a Saturday. Why did Ruby unalive Oswald? I think Ruby was under orders to silence Oswald. And we get a hint of that. Ruby himself implies that when he gets before the cameras sometime later in a public interview press conference. And Oswald says, or Ruby says on camera, that the world will never know. I'm paraphrasing all of the things that brought me to this point to put me in this position. What position? What the world would never. Hey, we all watched it on live TV. Okay, not me. I was not born yet. It was the beginning of the live TV era. People had been watching TV all weekend, and it culminated with Ruby jumping out on Oswald. But then Ruby says, well, the world's never going to know. I'm never going to get a chance to tell the whole story. What's the whole story? This is why Dorothy Kilgallen ends up being unalive. She did interview Jack Ruby. She got more out of Ruby than anybody else did. Hey, Steph, thank you. Welcome to the party. Please follow, share, repost, repost, repost. If you've just joined, if you've just followed in the last week or so, something has happened. I had a couple of viral videos and something like 24,000 new followers in just the last couple of weeks. It's phenomenal. People's interest in this case is popping off again. Yes, it is because it's in the news. Yes, if you're a fan of Trump and every executive order that he's ever signed, well, I only talk about this one. Sorry, this is not a political channel. I hold my views, you hold your views, but we're here to talk about JFK. And I do believe, I agree with Trump on the point that it's way past time for these files to be released. It is in the national interest to see what all of it says. It is not a guarantee that once we see, if we see the files, that we are going to, that everybody's going to understand them. And I'll come back to that. So what I'm saying is there may be things in the files that only real JFK nerds are going to care about. People and places and files that you've never heard of before, when it seems to me like a huge disappointing majority of people that follow my account and leave comments like to say that the driver did it, as if they've solved the mystery. And I don't get it. This suggestion originated by the OG conspiracy theorist William Cooper. Did a video on this. I don't remember the name of his book. But the driver did it in the book. It wasn't the only thing in the book. It was just one of the things. William Cooper started this and became notorious for that and many other super nutty ideas. For example, he lost me completely with the idea that the reason why JFK was unalived was because he had just recently negotiated a treaty with aliens. So, no, I'm out. And then, it was 2 years ago when I first got on TikTok and saw this. Then a viral video pops off where the guy says, "Oh, watch this." And he points to something in the video and plants the suggestion in your head that what you're seeing is something other than what it is, something that it could not be. And I spend the next 2 years trying to explain to people that there's no way that any human can physically react in 1/18 of a second. Frame 312, driver's hands out here in front of him. 1/18 of a second later, driver's left hand pointing over his right shoulder and somehow missing the people in the middle. Shame on you if you buy that. LBJ had the most to gain, yes. Okay, yeah, no, there was not a gun in the umbrella. LBJ might have had foreknowledge He definitely wanted to pin it on Oswald no matter what. No matter what else his motivation was. The whole Warren Commission was designed to convince you that Oswald did it alone. Thanks for sharing the live. Let me just take a second right here. Let's talk about the app that we're on. And I'll try to avoid saying app names. It seems like now that the app that we're on is suddenly again available in the App Store on either Apple or Google. And I don't know if you heard that, and many people have. And that's only just been since Thursday. I had been putting off updating my phone against the possibility that something would happen over the course of the next 75 days. The ban is still on. It's just postponed. I think April 5th is the new deadline. But in any case, the app is back in the App Store. Okay, great. So we have maybe 5 or 6 more weeks. And I still don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not as gloomy about it as I was back in January when this happened. So I'm just saying, I think what that whole blackout thing did for me was realize that I should not be putting all of my eggs in one basket. And so I have tried to branch out. So let me tell you about this, because I think this is information you may appreciate or not. It's all good. I encourage you to look at my profile, and there is a link tree there. And the link tree is a clever way to put one link, which then houses a bunch of other links. And for people who want to read some of these files, the files that are already released for themselves, if you want to see copies of the Zapruder film, then you can do that. Different versions of the Zapruder film. Slow-mo, AI enhanced, etc. So that's there. There is an edit done by an acquaintance of mine called a researcher named Mary Haverstick, and that is an edit of all of the known films of November 22nd and done in a chronological order, so you can kind of watch a whole 2-minute sequence, of which the Zapruder film is part of one, to see different angles on the motorcade moving through Dealey Plaza. And it just sort of puts them in the correct place on the timeline. So you see before, you see during, and you see the aftermath, all from the perspective of 9 different home movie cameras that were in Dealey Plaza on that day, at least that part around Elm Street. So my point is, there are a lot of links to important and useful resources. I didn't create them. All I did was pull them together into my link tree. And so you can go to my profile, to my link tree, and find that. You can also do a couple of things. You can see, for example, Instagram, my Instagram, and also Blue Sky, and Clapper, and Fanbase, and I don't know if my backup TikTok account is there. If it's not, I'll make sure I get it there. I'm on red note, for heaven's sakes. The Chinese people, they're very, very friendly, but they don't know everything about JFK that we do here in the U.S. They know who he was. They know something happened. They're not steeped in the lore, I guess. So that's been interesting. So I encourage you. Oh, but mainly also, my channel over on the Tube of You is linked there, and all of this is to mitigate against the possibility that the app that we're on blacks out again. And I don't know what the final outcome is going to be. You know, it was a fun ride while it lasted. Through nothing. I mean, I didn't do much of anything special. This happens to me every now and then. It's not that I'm super clever at making videos, but sometimes one pops off and then I'll get 2,000 followers overnight. And that's been happening all week. And so I'm on target to hit maybe 197 today. So that'll be fun. But it's just a testimony to how interested people are in this case. There are other JFK accounts. There are other history accounts and history creators, and they're doing a lot of good stuff. And I am trying to build a history community for me that goes beyond the app that we're on and extends out to other platforms. I don't know if you've noticed, but history is actively being rewritten while we're speaking. Like, that's what's happening right now, is that somebody doesn't like this version of history, and so we're just not going to talk about it. We're going to pretend like it never happened. And there's some very subtle aspects of that maybe you haven't picked up on in the news, but it's happening. Okay, anyway, all of that to say, find me on my link tree. Okay, Truth Teller says, not one thing you are believing can be backed up with facts. Here's one thing that I believe that is backed up by facts. So you can just not with the blanket statements. There are 3,700 redacted files related to the JFK case. Secret for 63 years. And I believe the CIA has been hiding something for 63 years. That is a fact. That is something that I believe that is backed up by facts. And we can debate everything else. That's fine. That's cool. You can defend the Warren Commission if you want. There's room for everybody's opinion. The only thing I really don't tolerate on this account is people denigrating other ethnicities, shall we say. If I catch you doing that, no way, I'm done, you're out. Okay, everything else, though, like I said, whether you're on the left or the right, whether you believe the Warren Commission was 100% accurate and truthful, or whether you think that they were full of crap, there's room. There's room for people here. People rely heavily on the so-called scientific bullet evidence and don't want to talk about what Lee Harvey Oswald was doing in Mexico City. Let's talk about Mexico City. What's your theory on that? Truth Teller, no, you're not going to get to me, man. You're not going to get to me talking about what you believed happened and not one fact, just your opinion. Fine, just your opinion also. But here's a fact that I want you to agree with me on. There are 3,700 secret files that the government thinks that you're a child and cannot understand and should not see. Your tax dollars paid for those They should be public records. And the CIA thinks you're a bunch of children who can't handle the truth. That's a fact. I'm sorry, I'm missing everybody else's comments. But incidentally, I also love it when people come on, users. Now, you don't have to, you can be part of the discussion without making any videos yourself. And plenty of people just enjoy watching. It's quick. It's 90-second entertainment. And if you don't like what you're seeing, you can scroll on. And that's the beauty of it. I get it. So you don't have to make videos to be part of the conversation, or to have an opinion, or to see an idea that you're interested, or to see something beautiful that you really love, or to pick up a recipe that looks really super delicious the way they have filmed it. You don't have to make videos to do all of that. But I love when people who don't make videos tell me how to make my videos. What? The music's too loud. It's too smoky. You're not speaking clearly. What's your point? That's a big one. What's your point, man? Maybe I don't have a point. That's okay. Hey, Briggy, that's a great question. Guess what? You can watch these. I am recording, but they're not going to be posted on this app. They're going to be posted on that other well-known app that you can find at the top of my link tree. The app where lots of people watch lots of videos, but it isn't TikTok. Yes, because I record these and then they're just up there, and they just stay up there and you can watch them. Rob, lifelong Eagle. I think that word is scout. Rob, are you a lifelong Eagle Scout? Much respect. I actually remember when my father railing about how fake the Warren report was. A lie, real time. Hey, welcome to the live. If you're new, double tap the screen, please, and send likes. May have to go get some lunch, people. Hey, thank you, account number 2, whomever you are. Lots of people saying they enjoy this content. Lots of people simply are interested and don't necessarily need to have a formed, an actual well-formed opinion. You could argue that my opinion was not well-formed. That since I can't put it together neatly for you with a ribbon tied on it, step by step, exactly what happened every moment from the evening of November 21st through Sunday afternoon, the 24th. Unless I spell out a, if you'll forgive me, TikTok moment-by-moment description of all of the course of the events of that weekend, if I don't tie it all together neatly with a ribbon on top for you, then you get to ask, well, what's your point, man? And there are plenty of people, it turns out, that are interested, and they don't have it all wrapped up in a neat little bow. So that's what amazes me so much about the driver did it theory. So the driver did it. Okay, was the driver CIA? You don't have any idea. You don't know. You saw it on a TikTok video. That's how you came up with that idea, is you saw it on a TikTok video. Or your parents, saw it in Bill Cooper's book. I get that people need resolution. I get that it is uncomfortable to not know and to not have everything wrapped up. And so the one method of dealing with that is to dismiss it and say, it was 60 years ago, man. Let it rest. I get those comments too. Let it rest. 60 years, let the man rest in peace. That's a way of dismissing it, dismissing the question. It's dismissive. It's not important. What you're saying could not possibly be important because it's been 60 years. Similar to that, why does it matter? Yes, the President of the United States was assassinated in broad daylight. And then 48 hours later, the assassin was assassinated on live TV. That's super weird. That's where everybody starts. That's the very first thing. Right away, reasonable people can agree that that's fishy. And that's the jumping off point. But for those who say, why does any of this matter? Now, I get it. People perhaps younger than me they're more interested in the Epstein files. Okay, me too. Let's see them. It's great. Doesn't change anything about the JFK assassination or the RFK assassination or the MLK assassination. And the fact that these world changers were hated by certain people and removed because they were feared. Okay. But I've said it matters a lot. It matters because it is history. Because before November 22nd, 1963, our parents got their news mostly from the newspaper, and what happened that weekend was suddenly TV was everywhere and in your face. Live TV. You are there. You're in the room. It's reality TV at its very, very birth. People watch TV 24/7 through Monday morning, through the funeral probably. And that changed the way that we got our news, and the world became tremendously smaller at that moment. But a year later, the Warren Commission, headed by Chief Justice Earl Warren, delivers a 900-page report to LBJ and concludes without having a trial, without Oswald having a chance to defend himself or give his side of the story. They try and convict Lee Harvey Oswald in public opinion with that 900-page report. And to do it, they had to ignore a lot of things that were inconvenient to the narrative that they were presenting. And we didn't just find this out. Again, this isn't new. I'm not new. I'm not original. But nobody, initially perhaps, okay, great, the Warren Commission. Now we know it was Oswald. Great. Now we have closure. Except careful readers noticed that the 26 volumes of supportive evidence contained a bunch of fluff, and that ear and eyewitnesses from Dealey Plaza were never called to testify before the Warren Commission. Never got an explanation about why 85 people ran from the street up the grassy knoll to behind the picket fence searching for somebody. Hey, Rudy, you're not bothering me. Am I bothering you with this Roscoe White? I am interested in Roscoe White, but I'm kind of on a rant right now. Anyway, in 2013, a Gallup poll was done in which 65% of Americans don't actually believe that the Warren Commission was accurate anymore. And that those numbers have pretty well held up. Now, fast forward to today, there's every time something pops to the news, it's every decade. I started this TikTok account 2 years ago for the 60th anniversary. And wouldn't you know it, in November of 2023, huge news. Have we all forgotten the Secret Service agent who was riding along with the Secret Service agent that everybody knows? Clint Hill is the one that jumped on the back of the limousine, okay? But there was another Secret Service. He was a little bit younger. His name was Paul Landis, young guy. Paul Landis comes forward, basically out of seclusion, 60 years later, just in time for the anniversary, with a book in which he says that he's the one that found the magic bullet on the back of the seat in the limo and then carried it into the hospital and put it on a stretcher. What? Okay, has everybody heard this? Raise your hand if you've heard this. Okay, that's silly. I can't see your hands. Did everybody pick up on this 2 years ago, or are you just that new to the party? 2 years ago, Paul Landis says CE 399, the bullet is in the National Archives. The bullet that the magic bullet theory believers say created 7 wounds in Kennedy and Connally, came downward at a right to left trajectory, yet somehow hits the right side of JFK's spine, and then continues to move right to Connally's back, and then shatters a rib in Connally, and then shatters his wrist bone, and then, we're not done yet, lands in his left thigh. Okay, right wrist, left thigh. So Connally must have been sitting like this, or so they would have you believe. And then, it's even more magic. That bullet pops out of his thigh. The fleshy part of his thigh just pops right out. And doesn't just pop out specifically, pops out and back through the hole in his pants, apparently, in order to land gently on a stretcher that no one can actually prove. There were 2 stretchers, which one was Kennedy's. But it had to be Connally's, right? Had to, because otherwise this story doesn't make sense. So, 7 wounds, including 2 major bones, big, dense bones, losing velocity, obviously, all the time, and landing softly, and then boop, popping out of the thigh, through the pants, and onto the stretcher. And it looks exactly like the test bullets that the Warren Commission itself fires into cotton wadding. There is no detractor that I have here, and I have several, and I don't know if they're still watching. Be pretty easy for people to say, even the people that like trolling me, to say, man, that guy never stops. I'm bored. I got to go to the grocery store. I am done talking to JFK 60 years later. He's nuts. He believes a bunch of wacko things and doesn't have any facts to prove them. But they cannot deal with, those people cannot deal with the Warren Commission's own ballistic experiments in which they test fire the same ammunition into cotton wadding and a goat carcass and a cadaver wrist, different times. And the bullet that they fired into a goat carcass to simulate Connolly's wound to his rib, that bullet is damaged badly. And the bullet that is fired into a cadaver wrist comes out tremendously damaged and is obviously deformed and mangled. And the bullets that they fire, this is the Warren Commission's own test, by the way. The bullets that they fire into cotton wadding are the ones that resemble the bullet in evidence. And Warren Commission defenders' only explanation to this is bullets are weird, man. Bullets do weird things. So they want to talk about velocity and feet per second and yaw and tumble and oblong and all these things that the bullet did, but not the test firing that the Warren Commission did. Okay, hey folks, I am hungry and need to go eat. I will get back on this live here in a bit, and appreciate everybody watching and liking and sharing and following and even not believing anything I'm saying. Yeah, well, I'll just leave it there. Thank you to my new followers. Thank you,